This episode of Taqueando is brought to you by El Encanto in Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara's most storied luxury hideaway. Up in the hills of the American Riviera, El Encanto has been welcoming guests since 1918. It is a 90-room property with individually styled bungalows and suites spread across 7 acres of terraced gardens, with panoramic views of downtown Santa Barbara and the Pacific. It feels tucked away and serene, but you are just minutes from everything. And I'll say this personally, when I'm in Santa Barbara, this is my favorite place to stay. There's just nothing else like it. There is a zero edge pool overlooking downtown Santa Barbara and the Pacific Ocean, a boutique spa, bikes to cruise around town, and access to fitness and wellness programming. And the food is serious. The dining room and terrace is helmed by multiple James Beard Award nominee Chef Joel Veland, whose resume includes Noma and Gramercy Tavern. It is seasonal Central Coast cuisine, thoughtful wines, and one of the best views in California. They also host an intimate culinary series that brings in celebrated chefs for special evenings of food, wine, and storytelling. Whether you are planning a romantic weekend, a wedding, or just need to reset with some ocean air and great meals, El Encanto is the move. Visit elencanto.com and book your stay and tell them Taqueando sent you. Hey everyone, welcome to Taqueando. I'm your host, Bill Esparza, and this week we are heading to one of Mexico's long-standing top luxury travel destinations, Cabo San Lucas and San Jose del Cabo. A lot of people leave that one out, or they just say Cabo. All three work for an amazing culinary series that's taking place at Chileno Bay Resort and Residences. Chileno Bay is a luxury beachfront resort that's part of the Alberge collection, which has nearly 30 properties worldwide, including Esperanza, which is also here in Cabo. For this episode, I'll be speaking with Chef Yvan Mucharas, Culinary Experiences Director at Chileno Bay, and for the portfolio as well, along with Chef Val Cantu of 2 Michelin star Californios in San Francisco, who cooked an amazing meal along with Chef Mucharas as part of the Visiting Chef Series. Chef Yvan Mucharas is Culinary Experiences Director here at Chileno Bay Resort, which is here in Cabo San Lucas. In 2010, Mucharas was appointed Chef de Partie at the 3 Michelin star French Laundry in Napa. So if you were at the French Laundry between 2010 and 2012, you were getting Chef Mucharas on your menu, on that tasting menu. From there, he went on to cook in France at Joel Robuchon, and he's been at the Chileno Bay Resort ever since 2016. But first, at Taqueando, eating antojitos is a way of life, from the world's most celebrated dining rooms to the gritty stands and storied market stalls that preserve culture. Life is short, so we must eat well, and here are this week's antojitos rundown. Well, lucky me, I spent the weekend at Chileno Bay in Cabo San Lucas. Yes, the world famous Chileno Bay, part of the Alberge collection, is an incredible resort and residence, luxury resort, and really got to try a lot of the culinary offerings. The chef there is Chef Yvan Mucharas, and he is an incredible, actually a very well-known chef in Mexico. He worked at the French Laundry. He was there at the same time Tim Hollingsworth was there. And he was a chef de partie, so he was definitely involved with the process of putting the food on the table. You know, if you were at the French Laundry between 2010, 2012, Chef Mucharas now heads up the entire Chileno Bay resort, and he's also working at different Alberge properties. So he's got a little taqueria. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm the kind of person that runs away from the resort. I love the resort for sleeping and relaxing and feeling that warm embrace of luxury. You know, we get to borrow it every now and then. But I like to run out and try street food and hit the fondas and hit the cantinas, get out in the city, get the local action. But for me, Cabo San Lucas does feel like the right place to actually stay. And I did catch myself one day saying, I'm going to go out today, and I did not leave. But I did have wonderful tacos at TNT, which is Tacos and Tequila. which is right there by the water at the Chileno Bay Resort, and where Chef Mucharas has a bunch of tacos. And I had this wonderful tribute to Rosarito Beach, which is actually more okay. Chef, come on, let's give it the proper name. This is um, the famous lobster dish based off of the lobster dish from Puerto Nuevo. So he doesn't call it the Puerto Nuevo. But anyways, that's what it's inspired by. But yes, Puerto Nuevo is in the municipality of Rosarito. So this lobster taco and a wonderful cocktail. That was when I first arrived. Okay, and then they set me up that night at YAYA. This is the second time I've dined there with Chef Eliana, who had worked at Quintonil, and now she runs this Mediterranean restaurant. And I know you're saying, Bill, you always say, like, when you're traveling, you don't like to eat foreign food and you like to stay on the theme. If I'm in Mexico, I'm eating Mexican food. But I was at the resort. And of course, the reason why a restaurant like YAYA exists is because there are people that are at Chileno Bay year round, and they don't want to just eat Mexican food all the time. That's just like everybody who lives in Mexico. Mexicans and non-Mexicans want a little variety. And YAYA is a wonderful Mediterranean restaurant that has some Italian food, and they have pizzas, of course. They have pasta, and they have meze, and a wonderful meze platter that's very popular at the restaurant, and that kind of mixes a crudité with it. So you take all your fresh fruit and you dip it in the different meze. An incredible Basque cheesecake there that I was not able to finish because they filled me up so much. But I took it home to my luxurious hotel room right overlooking the pool and had it in the morning with my coffee. The other restaurant I got to try is COMAL. That's Chef Yvan's flagship restaurant. Now, I did do the breakfast and, had some wonderful huevos rancheros. Again, the menu is Mexican and international. And at nighttime, I need to go back for that because what I had at night was the actual collab dinner for Baja Lab Kitchen. So the Baja Lab dinner between Chef Yvan Mucharas right there of Comal and Chef Val Cantu from Californios in San Francisco. They did this amazing dinner and it was spectacular. And so I did not really get Comal's cooking that night because, he was doing the chefy thing, going for it, doing that French laundry shit. And so I had Val Cantu made this incredible seafood platter. So it had lobster, a clam, oysters. It had a little tuna ceviche. But Chef Val was saying, I just thought about what I would like to eat if I was here and had this product available. And so just like a luxury, a one-tier seafood tower, it's just for two people at the table. So that was spectacular, as was his grilled huachinango, which was served with some salsas and tortillas to make tacos. And then Chef Yvan came in with an incredible Wagyu dish, beautiful seared Wagyu, that rectangle that all the chefs do. And it had a mole de mamey, so a fruit mole, which was amazing. And another standout dish of his was this sweet corn tamal with caviar. Who doesn't want that? Everything was paired with Guidova wines from Querétaro. So we had all these wonderful wines there. Did have a saltern with our dessert course. And of course, I finished the night with a carajillo. Comal, the chef is amazing. Chef Yvan, I need to go back and just try Comal without it being some event. I did escape, to the city on Saturday. I moved out of the hotel and went down by where the people mingle, in downtown Cabo, and got to check out the food scene. Now, if you guys have been to Cabo before, it's not. I would say it's one of the few cities in Mexico that I know of that doesn't really have its own street food. It's street food. It does have shellfish and incredible abundance of shellfish and fish that are available. But so, you can go get clams at a stand or that sort of thing. But the food culture, the recipes, the concepts are all coming from outside. And my cab driver,
who took me back to the airport, said that the majority of the people are there from Guerrero. And he said those people have actually raised the bar for food for him. The people from Guerrero, a lot of people from Mexico City, and lots of Sinaloans from specifically Mazatlan. And so there's all kinds of seafood spots, right? You get seafood restaurants all over the place, and they're all really good because they're all estilo Mazatlan. And there's lots of fondas, and there's taquerias, there's al pastor. You can find all kinds of good street food. And I found a tianguis, a little flea market. I am not going to tell you about that today. That's for later, folks. I got to publish that stuff first. But I did hit two incredible street food stands. Now, there's these cevicherias that are basically coolers. You know, it's just a stand with a couple of coolers. It's a real fine chopped ceviche de sierra, which is very Mazatlan style with all the carrots in there, like shredded carrots mixed in with the fish. And I had a tostada of de sierra, and I had another tostada of aguachile. And also a big dish that's available at these stands are tosti ceviches. And I don't know if you've had that before, but it's a bag of tostitos. I don't know if you've had that before, but it's a bag of tostitos slit open, and they just put the ceviche in there. And so I had mine with another one with ceviche de sierra. And what else did I have? And camarón crudo, so raw shrimp. And I had that at a stand called El Gallo, and that's more centrally located. So I went to El Gallo. The second one is a woman from Mazatlan, and it's El Moy. And that's a little off the beaten path. That one's a little off the beaten path, but that one was even better. Both of them are great, so I recommend both. I had the tosti ceviche at El Gallo, and at El Moy, I had the tostadas. And of course, these tostadas they had proper edging. Spread to the edge, okay? That's the only way. If it's not, we send it back. That's the way we do it at Taqueando. And the last bite I had was a fish taco. You can get fish tacos I would say all along the Pacific and the Sea of Cortez, you get good fish tacos. The best are in Ensenada. There's nobody touches them. The second best, in my opinion, I've said this on the show before, is Mazatlan. They're number 2. I found a good new taco de pescado spot. So this fish taco spot, La Oveja Negra, I was looking for Moy, and I was heading in that direction, and I said, oh, this is that spot I had, put a pin in and hadn't had a chance to try yet. So I said, okay, I'm going to try their fish tacos. Very good. I got fish and shrimp. And, no one does it as good as Ensenada. Better than we can get here in LA. The salsas were not as complete as you'll find in Ensenada, and the cook wasn't as good. Overall, just a very good fish taco. I've yet to find a place that blows me away in Cabo, but I would recommend La Oveja Negra. And, there's one that I always send people if you get my Cabo list. Tacos Gardenias is also still very good. But I think this one is as good, or, it's in the same ballpark. Again, Cabo, don't expect Ensenada level, but expect a very good fish taco. And that's my report. I had a wonderful time. Thank you, Chileno Bay, for an incredible time, and I hope you enjoy our interview. Chef, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thanks for the wonderful hosting.
Well, I hope you've been enjoying the vacations in Cabo.
Yeah, I usually do not like resort tacos.
Okay.
And I would say that probably that's like an allergy. If I see tacos at a resort, I'm not going to do it. Everybody's always saying, oh, you have to try our tacos, right? But I actually went, and they're very good at TNT.
TNT, tacos y tequila. Yeah.
All right. And it, it looks like it sounds. You see the line of tequila, very good tequila. You can actually have luxury tequila shots, high-end tequila shots, and tacos here. And I had the
Carolina,
the zarandeado.
Oh.
And of course, I had to have the Rosarito, which is like the Puerto Nuevo style lobster taco.
That's the classic one of the classics of the Baja.
Right, exactly. So the tacos are good. I can vouch for that. So if you're one of those people that's going to stay in the resort
and you still want tacos, it's going to work out for you just fine. So tell me, chef, about your restaurants here at Chileno Bay.
So we have, as you mentioned, TNT, which is a taqueria. It started as just a kind of a project in front of the beach. The idea was to have the most simple and common tacos, nothing fancy, nothing like, just like real tacos as it is, and fun, especially fun. So that's what TNT is, just a taqueria. And then we have YAYA, which is a restaurant that we opened later in 4 years ago. So the idea of YAYA, it's represents the ingredients of the Baja Peninsula with the Mediterranean ingredients, the uses of spices, a lot of simple grilling fish with citrus, and a lot of spices. So that was the idea of YAYA. YAYA means grandmother, and in the Middle Eastern languages. So for us, the grandmothers, the abuelas are also important. So that's how we came with the name and the concept of YAYA, which is more family style oriented, more casual. And then we have COMAL. COMAL is a Latin American contemporary restaurant. It's heavily lean into the Mexican because I'm Mexican,
but that's your home base. That's your main kitchen.
So that's where to be honest, between TNT and COMAL, that's where I spend the most. I've been very lucky to have a culinary team, very strong culinary team. That, for example, the chef of YAYA, which you met earlier.
I actually was my second time. So last time I was here, I also went to YAYA. And, again, I don't like to dine international when I travel. I like to do local. But I understand you guys have residences here and a lot of people that are here year round and they want different kinds of food. And so YAYA sort of was born out of the guests requesting some other culinary options.
Exactly.
But I love it. And, I still, like you said, I still got that local vibe with the local fish, the local seafood being used, other products and things integrated into this Mediterranean menu.
Yeah, some people, they don't know, we have in the Baja Peninsula, especially on the south of Baja, we have the majority of the farms, the organic farms that exports to everywhere, especially United States. So we are blessed that we actually for us, using organic products it's just a must because we have it around. So for us, it didn't make sense to use things out of the Baja. We have the fish, the seafood, and the organic products right here. So one of the cuisines that makes sense because of that, it was Mediterranean, which was basically lean, easy way of cooking with spices and the techniques of using fire on it. So that's YAYA. And Chef Eliana, which is she's now the executive sous chef, but she was the chef de cuisine of YAYA when we opened YAYA. She's an extremely talented chef. So I'm mentioning this because I'm lucky enough to have a great team that supports me to be focusing on other areas of the hotel. So yeah.
Right.
Going back to the question, yes, I spent most of my time in COMAL and TNT.
And tell me about the menu at COMAL.
So the menu, it was conceptualized to have somehow a way to express the way that we in Latin America, but especially in Mexico, we eat. You can order one dish or two, but ideally you should order a couple things to be shareable. Not because our shareable means that are not well executed. Sometimes in Mexico we have the idea that if everything is to share, maybe it's not fine dining. I don't do fine dining in terms of white cloths and white linen and what I'm trying to do is replicate our idea of the fine dining on the techniques, on the respect of the products, the training of the culinary team, and then the balance of flavors. That's the idea, but it doesn't really need to be a whole tasting menu to feel that. So going back, if you ask me my favorite memories on my first 10 years of my first 10 years of living, it's always going to be with my family, sitting down on a table with my grandmother bringing amazing Mexican dishes on the table.
And where was that?
We move a lot. So we used to be in Mexico City, but my father is from Mazatlan, Sinaloa. My mom is from Veracruz, and we leave because my father is an ex-admiral from the Mexican Navy. So we moved from the coast of Mexico all along the coast. So we have the chance to, and I have the chance to experience seafood, especially seafood from Tamaulipas, which is Tampico, Veracruz, Campeche, Cozumel, Oaxaca and Salina Cruz, Acapulco, Vallarta, Puerto Vallarta, Manzanillo, Colima, La Paz. So I was very involved into all this.
Basically a Mariscos tour.
Yeah, so it was.
You're a Navy brat.
Yeah,
as we say the Army brats for the kids that are spoiled for living all over the world. But yeah, for you it was Mexican coasts and seeing all. Mexico has so many different seafood regions. I'd say more than any other Latin American country. The diversity.
I I think the difference is what we do with that. So maybe there will be, like I will say, maybe Costa Rica or Ecuador, that they have like a biodiversity, but
yeah,
some of them are protected. So maybe they cannot use it. Brazil is huge. So maybe they have from the north to the south a lot of the species.
Right. But Brazil, like for instance, if you go to a fine dining restaurant in Brazil, all their oysters, they come from Santa Catarina
Yeah.
and the south. And so you cannot, the oysters up north are not fine dining oysters. They're good, but they're not the kind that they would serve.
And what I'm trying to say is that we are blessed to have the biodiversity that we have and that we are using it.
Right.
So like depending if you're in the north of the Gulf of Mexico or in the south of it, you will have different species. And if you go to the Pacific, depending where in the Pacific, you have another type of species. And every single state is doing something completely different,
right?
Even that they are next to each other. So what I think is the regional cuisine of Mexico, that's what makes everything different. That
100.
Nobody has it in the world.
Nobody.
No one. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you go to France. You have the South cuisine of France, the North cuisine, the mountain cuisine. But in here is like we have 32 states, and every single state is doing completely different their identity.
And you know, we talk about this a lot on the show here. It's also sub-regions. So like Oaxaca has 8.
Yeah.
Oaxaca has more than most countries, I would say. If you want to talk about what Mexico, you start there. And then you have 31 other states that also have sub-regions and experiences.
And funny, now that you also talk about a lot about tacos, it's Mexico, right? Taco al pastor, it was conceptualized, and the first time that they serve a taco al pastor was in Puebla. That's the region of the taco al pastor. But if you go to Puebla and Mexico City, it's like everybody recognizes that, like the tacos al pastor, the city, the mecca of the tacos al pastor, right? Maybe Mexico City, not Puebla. But it's not different. It's just different. It's not that one is better than the other. It's just different. And the evolution and of one simple thing makes it so like unique into that region. That's what makes very special in Mexico.
Yeah, and you also, when you're doing that, if you're going to do the Al Pastor tour and you're going to go from Mexico City to Puebla, you're also going to have 2 different sets of tortillas, salsas, condiments, and which keeps it interesting, you know.
I agree, and even if we go deeper into the history, so the tacos al pastor came from the culture of Lebanon and Turkey, right? Because they were the ones who actually built the. Basically,
they what I will agree on is that they brought the trompo.
Yeah, the trompo. They
did not bring tacos.
Yeah, I know. That's what I meant. Yes,
Yeah, you know, this is going to be another episode, not today, but yeah, they brought the trompo for sure.
The machine, let's call it,
and which is a wonderful way to market, because now today we're seeing trompos of all kinds.
But it's the example. It's the example of how do we see something and then we adapt to our culture, to our identity, not all the way around. We don't adapt to their culture.
Yeah, we don't want shawarma. No shawarma in the streets.
Right.
It's great when we go to those countries, but we want tacos, right?
Yeah.
So speaking of tacos and what you're doing here, so yeah, people when they come here, even if they're not staying here, they should go to COMAL. It's a highly recommended restaurant. of contemporary Mexican dining, but not white tablecloth, not so fancy.
Simple.
It's approachable. But now you're doing this incredible culinary series called Baja Lab. And you started with, I mean, you're off to a great start with amazing chefs. One that was on the program, Chef Chef Manuela Bufara, who I love, and I also had been to her restaurant before. And so you had her, and that went amazing.
She's amazing. I love the techniques. I love the ingredients and the techniques, the Brazilian techniques. And it's kind of, I feel that we understand and we see our menus kind of the same way, that we care about our products. We care about our identity, and the techniques are universal. If you learn to cook with one technique, you can apply with the ingredients you have. You don't really need to go and look for the same ingredient to get it. So I think she's doing exactly the same with your menu, and this is what COMAL it is actually.
Definitely this part of the world is a great place to do this because of you do have ingredients and interesting things that they don't always have. Like I said, they don't have a lot of shellfish, and she serves also Santa Catarina oysters, and she's very close to that. And I mean, she's also has that philosophy. She comes from Noma, and she tries to keep her products very close. Now, tell me about the culinary series and like who's been cooking. I know we had this wonderful dinner with Chef Valcanto, amazing, and then you've had other chefs come in. So maybe talk about what's been happening and what do you have coming up?
So the idea of Baja Lab is every single time that we invite a chef, they not necessary, but that's what we want, is that they go with me and resource some of the ingredients that we have, and they use it, taste it, and then they cook or they use it on the way that they like, with their techniques, with their flavors, but using the Baja products. Basically, that's what it is. We've been having, for example, Chef Yvan Funky from.
Oh yeah, of course.
So he was amazing dinner too. We're coming with Chef Phil Tessier. We used to work together at the French Laundry. He was my sous chef at the French Laundry.
Right.
Tim Hollingsworth has been here 2-3 times.
Were you at?
He was my chef de cuisine. He was in charge of the.
So you're part of his team.
Yes.
Amazing.
The first time that I went to the French Laundry was Corey Lee leaving, and Tim taking over the French Laundry. We have Virgilio Martinez, the chef from Peru.
Yeah.
Who else been here? So Valcantu, Manu, Philippe Tessier. We have Mexican chefs. Is David Castro and Maribel Aldaco from Alfauna. Jose Luis Inostroza from
Arca.
From Arca in Tulum.
All friends of the podcast.
Yeah. Benito Molina has been here. So a lot of chefs that we have invited in the last 6 years that we started doing it, and we started with a different maybe idea, and then become the Baja Lab. That's evolution of the guest chef series into a purpose of having them to resource ingredients and to taste ingredients. Even Mats Resman he used to be at Noma too.
Yeah.
He came, he was the first Baja Lab.
Oh, wow.
A couple of years ago. Who else? Josiah Citrin.
Another LA legend.
Yes. It's a great friend. Yes, definitely a legend. Lar Garcia from Maximo. Jorge Vallejo from Quintonil. Who else? That's the basically the purpose of having different chefs from different areas, just to have fun and explore the Baja Peninsula. And yes, we will continue doing the series. We are trying to maybe we'll change a little bit in terms of maybe will be interesting. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. Maybe have one chef from the south of America, South America, and one chef from, I don't know, I would say something from New York, and us. So in the same menu on the same night, you have basically the products of Baja, but completely different techniques and the completely different approaches to food. That's kind of what I am thinking right now. Yeah, I have invited some other chefs. It's just like, for example, I met Chef Cesar Troiron when I was at the laundry too. So he's the grandfather of like one of the most important chefs in the world, the brothers Troiron,
Yeah.
and in France. So I'm just trying to see if we can make it happen. Maybe by the end of this year or the beginning of next year. And yeah, so the idea is that just my way of thinking of the Baja Lab, there's many purposes, but the most important is one, bringing chefs to explore and to see what we have in terms of products and ingredients. Two, while they're cooking, my team it's learning.
So right. Very clever. So, right. Yes.
So it's very hard because we have my team is all full of Mexicans, and most of them, they don't have visa
Yeah.
or even like passports. So for me, it's very hard to send somebody like to train for a week or 2 weeks in France, in Italy, in England, in United States, whatever.
It's a reverse
Forget it.
stage.
Exactly. It's a reverse stage. Perfect definition. Thank you.
Yeah. So it really is truly a lab. So you're highlighting the resorts, and you're also doing this at Esperanza.
And Esperanza is now doing also the Baja Lab with the same purpose. So we're focusing more in Esperanza with Cocina del Mar into the sustainability of the sea that we have. From one side, we have the Pacific Ocean, and from the other side, the Mar de Cortés, Sea of Cortés, and most of this area is protected. So we want to keep using sustainable fish and keep promoting, it's not the right word, but promoting the sustainability.
Yeah, you're promoting the local product that the region has to offer sustainably. But this really is amazing for the chefs here and you guys are also busy. You're so busy here that probably they don't have time to travel, in addition to not having visas.
Yes.
But this reverse stage program, bringing in all these chefs so that they can experience their techniques and their
it's funny because even them at the beginning was like, oh my God, it's a lot of pressure, but now they're even asking who was the next.
They're excited for the next chef
because they get to learn, and the more they are involved, for example, with Manu, like she was like all in. So they were super happy to see what they were doing, like she was doing, and asking questions. So that's to me, that's the real value. Yeah, I know that this is a hotel and so the other purposes, but
yes,
to me, that's the most important part of it.
That's unexpected for me that that's going on. I mean, obviously, I was already excited about the chef series, and I'm really sorry to have missed Manu here. I'm really sorry to have missed Manuela, but no, it's pretty amazing what you're doing here. And so if guests want to attend the Baja Lab series, how do they do it?
So we have we go through the concierge, through the direct line or email from COMAL, or social media. COMAL Cabo is Instagram, so just by text.
It's all through the restaurant COMAL, your restaurant. Okay. So they can DM, they can email, yes. They can call, and of course, if they're staying here, that's an added bonus. So if you come down and stay for the series, it's a nice addition to experience one of these great chefs. And I would say that your list is very, very, very intense. Great chefs from all over the world. And I think it's also helping with what you guys, I think probably your greater purpose, it seems, is Cabo sort of fell off the radar as being a destination for fine dining. Mm-hmm. It's come and gone. There's been times when chefs have been here, but then they leave. But you've been here now for a decade, and you're doing something really interesting right now. So why is Cabo a great destination for Californios like myself, to come here? I
think the weather makes it very special. It's not even that maybe the hotel is sometimes is busy, it's not crowded, it's peaceful. You don't have like traffic or the nature. You're very in contact with nature. Um, we have great products, as I say, like you can eat amazing, you can live amazing.
Yeah, the seafood's amazing here.
It's amazing. Yeah, I agree. It's the best. Nothing against it because I've tried all, but in this area is the place where I have been able to eat the best seafood in one spot.
Yeah.
Like if you go different places and you have great things, but in here is a lot of great things. So I agree with you. So I think that the weather, the contact of with the nature and the simplicity of every single thing that you do in Cabo, that's what makes it special. Then it's not crowded. Like again, it's not like you don't have the traffic jam, you don't have the pressure. You like it feels relaxed. I think that's
It is a great place to relax. And I would say it's one of the places that I personally like. I'm not normally a resort person. I like to go and explore, but I think it makes a lot of sense here, and what you guys are doing at Chileno Bay with YAYA and COMAL and the guest chef series and TNT is actually, there's a lot of great dining options here at the resort. And it's a 2-hour flight.
it's easy. It's easy.
Super easy. Now, I know you guys don't promote this so much, but where do you go in town? Because you live here and you probably have to eat some other things every now and then. Where do you go for mariscos and tacos here?
So I have my, because that's where I went when I arrived here, and I love it. Is El Toro Güero, which is there's plenty, but in San Lucas and San Jose, I always go to the one in San Lucas. That's where I went the first time to get mariscos, and since today is, to me, it's very consistent. It's amazing. I love it. So Toro Güero, it's a no-brainer. For tacos, a lot of people goes to La Lupita, which are great. But if you want to go and explore for more kind of like regional, I like the burritos of El Viejon, which is on the way to the East Cape, like the passing over San Jose del Cabo. That's kind of a place where I like to go.
And for fish tacos?
Oh, for fish tacos, I like TNT, so it's hard to get another ones. But there's a lot of there's one in Las
Verdes. we can TNT is one. So you're at the resort, so you're gonna have tacos at TNT. What are the 3 tacos that they need to get here at TNT?
So the 3 tacos, it's I will get the Rosarito, el Campechano.
Yes, I did good.
Campechano, and the fish tacos.
Right, and the Campechano is a surf and turf.
The Campechano is a mix between beef, carne asada, and shrimp.
And shrimp, right. It's a surf and turf.
And chicharrón.
Okay. So TNT, and then one good fish taco wreck in town.
Las Golondrinas, it's in San Lucas too.
Okay, that's it. Okay. Chef, thank you for joining the podcast. And I will definitely be back for tacos.
Yeah.
And some more COMAL.
Maybe the next Baja Lab, which is with Chef Justin Cogley.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Virgin.
So yeah, we recommend here at Taqueando, we recommend this resort, the Baja Lab experience. And once again, Chef, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Bill.
Now joining us on the show is Chef Val Cantu, and he is a Tejano, and he grew up, he's from a restaurant family in Texas, Central Texas, and he cooked there at Uchi in Austin, and came to San Francisco to stage at Saison, and did a lot of work, most of his work at Sons and Daughters before he opened up Californios in 2015. Now, he also did go to Ciudad de Mexico before that and worked at Puyol. And his wife, Carolyn Cantu, also opened Californios with him. And in 2015, let me say that again. Chef Val's wife, Carolyn Cantu, also opened Californios with him in 2015. And this idea of diving into a Mexican Californian tasting menu with this long history. Everybody knows, and you should know this if you're listening to this show, that Alta California was a part of Mexico at one time and has a wonderful tradition that is being served on the plate at Californios. It's a 24-seat restaurant, and it's a 2 Michelin star restaurant. Welcome to the show, Chef Val.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Bill.
And so you're here in town for the culinary series, the Baja Lab. And how have you been eating?
Yeah, so good. I mean, the chefs here, even down to the beachside service, is pretty spectacular. The salsas here is some of the best I've had for anywhere, to be honest with you.
Amazing. Now, so, you know, a lot of the modern Mexican chefs, obviously, Texas is really coming up lately with, I mean, I'd say all across the Southwestern California, we're seeing some of the best Mexican-American chefs and casual concepts and taquerias and all kinds of things. So I want to talk about your experience coming from Texas to California and that connection that we have as Mexican-Americans. And why did you choose California, you know, as the place for this restaurant?
Yeah, so, I moved to California and I wanted to work there. I wanted to get a little more experience under my belt. And I didn't think I was going to open a restaurant there. I didn't move with the intention to do that. It just, I guess, like, pieces started to fall into place. And my wife was working in interior design and her sister was working in wine at the French Laundry. And so all these little things started to happen. We started to do some small dinners, and then for whatever reason, I just kept going and said, okay, like, we can do this. And San Francisco at that time was still, and I think it always is and will be, but like an exciting young city where, there's a lot of young energy, and we just fed off that. There were places like Mission Chinese, and Cezanne started as a pop-up, and, Lazy Bear, I was friends with the Lazy Bear people and all these different people. I saw them all doing this around me, and it just kind of was like, okay, let's just go for it. And that's kind of like how it ended up happening.
That was certainly an exciting time in San Francisco. I would say that between San Francisco and Los Angeles, San Francisco really came on the map earlier for fine dining in this new wave with Chef Dominique Crenn. And so for a while, like for people from Los Angeles, we would go up there to one of that kind of dining. Now it's everywhere.
Yeah.
But that certainly explains a lot. Obviously the ingredients, you have a lot more access to ingredients in California than you did in Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the ingredients and the farmers that we work with are really, like, I say they're the best in the world. Everybody fantasizes about these ingredients in Japan or in France. But, to be honest, I've gone through those markets and tasted the ingredients, and I think that what the farmers in California have a longer history and more knowledge, and, grow the most concentrated, flavorful vegetables in the planet, I think. And, that's why Napa Valley is an incredible wine region. And I think it comes through in the vegetables as well.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And it also has a long history of Mexican cuisine. We've had this discussion before about in Los Angeles, because all the credit for what we call California cuisine kind of begins with Alice Waters, but really it was before that. There was a Mexican tradition, and all those ingredients that they're using and even dishes were coming from that. So you've done a lot of diving into historic cookbooks, specifically from the late 1800s. Now I know I have this book as Encarnacion's Kitchen.
That's right.
But the original title of the book
is El Cocinero Español.
Right. So this, if you look through that book, it's wild.
It is.
It doesn't match anything from Mexico. It's a very unique look at what Alta California was at the time. And so that's been a big inspiration. Can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, I read that, or I found that book, and basically it details the life of this lady Encarnacion Pinedo in the early 1800s, and her family was wealthy rancheros, and they were making Mexican cuisine with these French influences, with these Italian influences, and all these different people who were coming for the gold rush were bringing their cuisines. And so she was really chronicling this, like, very seasonal Mexican cuisine that was remarkably different from what was happening in the rest of certainly the country, but also other cookbooks and other histories of Mexican cuisine. Really, it was one of the first, in my opinion, the first real California cuisine. This melding of cuisines and ingredients and Bay Area produce and fish and things as well.
No, I mean, I don't think it's opinion. I think that's fact. I mean, California was a part of Mexico when it was taken over by the United States. And so its first tradition is a Mexican tradition.
That's right.
And that was already influenced by immigration and Americans coming in by force and other factors. And it already had great ingredients, before there was this massive agricultural industry. Now, how do you find that balance between, bringing those dishes to life in a fine dining setting and your whole approach to elevating Mexican cuisine in a place that now used to be a part of Mexico, but is definitely the United States?
Yeah, I think what we try to do is we try to, first identify the ingredients that we want to work with. And that's usually coming from a farmer. Okay, this farmer has, for example, right now we're getting cherimoyas from this Bernard Ranch. And it's a relatively small farm. They grow a lot of citrus. They also have these beautiful cherimoyas. And so, we start with that and we say, okay, how do we highlight this? How do we process this ingredient to share it with our guests in a way that they can experience it and it's exciting, delicious, and also for most of them they don't realize that these things are grown in California or how they even taste. And so it really starts with the ingredient, and then we try to gently manipulate it in a way that we try to make it 1% better, right? It's California. We still stay true to these ideas of California cuisine, light, fresh, clean, minimal manipulation, and just, maybe something needs to be kissed on the grill. Maybe it needs to be smoked, slightly cured or whatever it is. And that's kind of like the lightness that we take with the cuisine, I think.
Yeah. And California's farmers are always innovating. I've been to some farms near in the Bakersfield area where they have like a greenhouse with just experimental crops and they're introducing those. So we are like a cherimoya, you don't associate with California. And certainly I didn't growing up, there were no cherimoya. There were apples, bananas, and oranges, pineapples, Dole pineapples. But yeah, we're getting more fruit. There's so much citrus in California.
Oh yeah.
And which obviously is a big part of Mexican cuisine, both sides of the border. You also use a lot of masa in your cooking. So what we're seeing in Mexico, I don't know if you've been to Mexico City lately.
Not recently, honestly.
A lot of the chefs are moving away from the Mexican ingredients and they're doing international. They're doing bao and things like that. But you're really keeping masa as a base of your cooking. So can you tell me about the role that plays on your tasting menu?
Yeah, I mean, we have a partner farm called Terra Vegetables Farm, and they're located in Santa Rosa, and they are these amazing brother and sister farmers that have been farming for over 40 years, and they grow amazing corn, and they grow different varietals, basically anything you can think of. They even have their own black corn that they've been growing year after year and making it more and more black. So we have beautiful black masa. Naturally, no dyes necessary. And, I think, the tortilla is such a special and amazing thing that I think is really a delicacy. And most people don't know it that way. And so treating masa with a lot of care and attention and introducing people to freshly made tortillas, most people have never even had a freshly made tortilla. And I think that, that's a beautiful thing. And I think it deserves to be, elevated and put on, again, going back to other cuisines, people talk about little rice dongos and how special they are, but a tortilla is just as special, when it's handmade, when it's made with love, it's made with attention and, served fresh and immediately. It's a really, really special thing. And I think people need to recognize that.
Yeah, it is overlooked and undervalued. For sure. And when people talk about other breads and which I don't consider you can call it a flatbread, I guess, right. But when other types of staple breads, of cuisines, everyone talks about the techniques so much, you know, and with dismissing the fact that they invented corn, the indigenous people invented corn, they invented the nixtamal process,
Right.
and turned it into probably one of the most identifiable foods on the planet, and has the most utility of any kind of bread type product. So yeah, it's but you're doing something kind of different. Everyone is going to Tlaxcala, getting their corn from Oaxaca, getting Estado de Mexico, but you're using California corn. And now, how does it perform? Because everybody has all these negative things, like, well, you're using corn from, you're not using corn from Mexico. You're not, there is a stigma attached to that in our community.
Yeah, I mean, we get probably 70% of our corn from Tierra Vegetables, and then we do bring in our own corn from Mexico as well, because we like to also experiment with that as well. So it's a mix, and each corn is different. It's really amazing whenever you work with, a white, yellow, blue, black, red, green, blue, purple, all these different corns. They each have their own characteristics. And so some of them are perfect for tostadas or being served like as a crisp. And then some of them are perfect for tortillas, like most yellow masa, like when you make a tortilla out of it, like it's so easy to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's delicious, but it's fun to like experiment with these other ones as well, I think.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna say you're the only kitchen in the United States cooking Mexican cuisine has 2 Michelin stars.
That's right.
So, congratulations. Yeah, that's a tough one, because, like you said, the tortilla doesn't always get the respect it deserves as such a. To me, it's the first modernist dish. I can't think of a dish that I mean, yeah, bread rising is a major innovation, and that's one of the earliest food traditions. But using chemicals to change food is so radical.
Yeah.
Especially for at that time period. Now, what have been the challenges getting people to pay this price and accepting a 2 Michelin star Mexican restaurant, for diners that are coming in that are often, a little ignorant to these traditions and the depth of the regions and antojitos that are in Mexico?
Yeah, it's been a long process, I mean, it's been a long process introducing people to Mexican cuisine, or the concept of Mexican cuisine as fine dining, or the concept of tasting menu Mexican cuisine. We've always only served a tasting menu. We've never done a la carte. And I think that was like a big barrier to break through, because people are used to going to a Mexican restaurant and they want to order their 2 enchiladas and they want to order their tacos or whatever. And, I really wanted to have control of the experience and to be able to kind of guide people through things that they would not normally order, but still have a great meal at the end of the day. And we started out with like a 4-course with some canapes, and it was $57, when we opened. And it was, we wanted to introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
And we wanted to allow it to be an approachable price point. So it was $57, and then we remodeled the restaurant again, and then it was $75, and we kind of got better, and we, made improvements, and we continued to grow and continued to elevate the cuisine. And we just kept pushing. We knew we wanted to, push ourselves and make an amazing experience for our guests. Really, that's ultimately what it comes down to. And yeah, we were recognized, the first year with 1 Michelin star, and then we had 1 Michelin star for 2 years, and then the 3rd year we got 2 Michelin stars. But it's just been about, improving ourselves, and I think that we're grateful that Michelin recognized us, and I'm sure that we're not going to be the last. There's, like you said, there's so many places. There's Michelin and Tatemo and Houston, and there's a lot of restaurants really coming up and doing amazing food with a lot of amazing Mexican cuisine.
Yeah, and speaking of Texas, and I mean, is there still some Tejano influence in your food
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I brought in a smoker from Texas. We certainly grill as much as we can possibly grill.
Yeah, that's very Tejano. A lot of people don't understand. I mean, when people, I respect all Mexican American cuisines and enjoy them. Tex-Mex gets a bad rap, but a lot of people don't understand
that the real Tex-Mex, the Tejano cooking, is from home still.
Yeah.
And the Mexican Americans that have been there for a long time have home dishes that don't end up in restaurants, that aren't the popular dishes. People don't necessarily, I mean, did you eat queso at home?
No, we never.
Right, exactly. So those are things you get from the restaurant
Right.
that are part of the popular, selling of a business. But the actual home cooking is really amazing. And that's what I think of when I think of Texas cooking, Texas Mexican cooking. Now you're coming back home, having a homecoming with Estela. Can you tell me about that project?
Yeah, so I'm working with Canyon Ranch. Canyon Ranch is a really interesting wellness resort based out of Tucson, and they asked me if I wanted to be a part of their opening in Austin or outside of Austin in Spicewood, and to help them craft a restaurant that has a lot of Mexican influence, but still has like wellness at the heart of it. And truthfully, I was like, yeah, this is great. Like our cuisine, my cuisine is very, it's thoughtful of being healthful. I want people to leave our experience feeling good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, something that we've done over the years. And so I was like, yeah, of course I would love to be involved and have a great reason to go visit family. My family still lives there in Texas. And yeah, it's an exciting project and beautiful space. We did kind of a welcome event a couple of weeks ago, and it's just going to be an amazing, amazing space.
And what's the food going to be like?
It's going to be, we want it to represent Texas. We want it to be Texas cuisine. There's executive chef Blake Ransom. He's coming from Austin also, and he's, knows all the purveyors that I don't know since I've been gone for so long, and bring in amazing Gulf fish, some local farmers, and just like kind of making a special cuisine just for that restaurant.
That must feel good to be able to do that, yeah. Because I'm sure you were thinking about Texas when you first opened.
Yeah, it's great to be able to go back, and I love Texas, obviously, and yeah, I'm excited to go back.
Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, me personally, I always feel like when people are talking about modern Mexican food in the United States, Californios kind of gets it's a little separated from everybody because it's got 2 Michelin stars, and it's so you're doing it at a level that people aren't really thinking of when they open. They're trying to make their food more approachable, and they're still kind of approaching that. But you're watching what's going on, and I feel like it has a lot of legs, modern Mexican cuisine in America, and we're seeing it everywhere now. Like even Charlotte, North Carolina, they're getting theirs.
Really?
And so what are some of the young chefs that you think are doing some interesting things that people should be, keeping their eye on?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely Emmanuel and Houston at Tatamo is probably one of the top chefs. I mean, I wouldn't say Rico and Diego at Michelin are young chefs, but certainly I think Michelin is still a restaurant to watch. Even Chef Norm at Cariño in Chicago is doing his own, very influenced version of Mexican cuisine, and I think getting a lot of accolades and recognition for it. And there's still room for the cuisine to grow, and it's just about people recognizing what Mexican cuisine can be and allowing it to be that, and people just getting over that hump of like, okay, it's not just always going to be rice and beans and enchiladas, and queso. And not that, again, just like you said, there's nothing wrong with that, but it can be a whole lot more. And I think we're just seeing the start of it. And even, especially in Mexico, the list is as long as can be,
No, I mean, in Mexico, people are doing what you're doing. Yeah. I mean, they're doing elevated tasting menus. Mm-hmm. You're very unique in that sense here. And so, yeah, I mean, people need to check out Californios. But again, going back to Texas, and when is your project opening? Can you say?
Scheduled to open in September.
Okay.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Have you announced that yet?
I believe they're saying that. Yeah, they're taking some reservations.
So not quite an exclusive here, but yeah, September is Estela. So, being a Texan, I'm going to ask you a few little questions about food there. What are your favorite barbecue spots?
I mean, Black's Barbecue in Lockhart is one of my favorites. Of course, Franklin's is amazing. Have not been to the brick and mortar. I used to go when it was a trailer.
Yeah.
And it was only 45 minutes in line, which I could handle. But it was exceptional. Terry Black's is really amazing as well. Yeah, that's honestly one of the biggest reasons I'm excited to go back, is to get to try all these new barbecue spots.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are classics for you.
Yeah.
And what are a couple of Tex-Mex place people need to hit when they're in town?
I mean, Matt's El Rancho, I think, is a classic. It's beautiful. It's classic Tex-Mex. It's, again, enchiladas, queso, rice and beans, but done really, really well. Este is a new one that is really, really, absolutely Este and Suerte, but Este is my favorite. I'm very seafood focused. And so that's like, contemporary Mexican seafood in Austin. And that's absolutely delicious and worth making a special trip to. What Philip Spear is doing at what is the name of it? Comedor. Philip Spear at Comedor is doing some really amazing food, and he's one of my mentors and really a very, very talented chef, and definitely worth going to. There's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, so we got Texas covered. The last one is on San Francisco. What is the best Mission burrito?
I mean, I think La Taqueria is still the best Mission burrito. I know that's like, I think that they're just like their volume and the consistency,
Yeah.
the salsas, everything I think that they do there is like, it's my favorite.
And okay, tell me why it's your favorite and what's your order there?
I mean, generally I'll go lingua super quesadilla suiza, which is like, it's not no rice, just.
Oh, you don't do the super version or the
I don't do rice if I can avoid the rice.
Okay.
Yeah. Beans, meat, avocado. I mean, lingua is my favorite cut. If the taqueria has it, it's like always a sign of like, again, traditional cooking a little bit and traditional things. And yeah, I think the way that you can tell a place is great is by the salsas and if they're spicy or not,
Okay. So they still have it's spicy enough for you. They got the lengua and they are able to keep their consistency with this high output.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they remain popular as ever. Oh, that's
Yeah.
the most popular place can still be the best place.
Exactly.
Now, thank you for those recs. And I've been to La Taqueria the last time I was there too. And I enjoyed being from Los Angeles, and I grew up in Stockton's, but I didn't really experience, Mission burritos until I lived in Oakland from 90 to 95.
Nice.
And so I have a different burrito tradition for myself, but La Taqueria is great. I agree. Now, in a sense, you're one of several. I mean, we have Enrique Olvera he's not doing a tasting menu at Damian, but it's obviously elevated modern Mexican cuisine that has Los Angeles influence, Los Angeles trends, and has Baja California trends as well as others. But you being one of these several leaders right now in modern Mexican cuisine in the United States, what do you see? What is the future of modern Mexican in America?
Yeah, I think the future is like just continuing to grow, continuing to share, like, again, masa, the idea that Mexican cuisine, I think Mexican cuisine gets seen as like unhealthy, and I think that, that is what people need to understand is that masa is a really delicious and healthful ingredient. And it doesn't have to be heavy and cheesy and really, really rich. It can be light and fresh. But yeah, I think the future is just more exposure, more chefs opening, more concepts, and it's happening slowly. I think, we're still post-pandemic, I think it's still, even in San Francisco, like there's been a few new restaurants opening, and it's like, wow, everyone's so excited because these are the first restaurants that have opened in over 5 years. It feels like, so we're still recovering and still restaurants are getting back on their feet. And, so yeah, it's still a lot of growth and change. I think there's a lot of room. There's still room in the market for a lot more Mexican cuisine.
And what advice would you give to young chefs, young Mexican American, Latino chefs in general, who are not quite feeling like people are going to accept white tablecloth, high end, modern Mexican dining. They're leaning more into tacos and keeping it more simple. What advice would you give them? And obviously you did it very methodically by starting out very small and approachable, but how would you, lure them in to get more people to do this?
Yeah, and I think like if you believe in something, you should just go for it. Whether it's a taco, whether it's a tasting menu, whether it's whatever it may be. And that opening a restaurant or serving food is a hard road because everyone can be a critic and you're going to get a lot of negative feedback on the way. But you got to stick to what you believe in and stay true to those things. And yeah, serve what you believe in, and serve what you love. And I think that that's what we did. And, the white tablecloths that we use those because the tables we bought were cheap and we had to cover them. So, there's two sides to every
Just
coin.
pragmatic.
Yeah. But it's just about serving what you believe in, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Now, do you think is a third Michelin star on the horizon, or is that even evolve?
No, I mean, our goal is always self-improvement, and that's kind of like what we've been focused on for a long time. We certainly have had 2 Michelin stars since 2017. And so, yeah, I would love that. I would love for there to be 3 Michelin star Mexican restaurants. I would love for Quintanil to have 3 Michelin stars. I would love for Mexican cuisine to be recognized in that way, because I think it is without question one of the best cuisines in the world and one of the oldest cuisines. And, what is it going to take for a Frenchman to recognize that a tortilla is not a crepe? I don't know. But yeah, so I think that with the quality of ingredient that we have in San Francisco and with the technique and the dedication to the craft that our chefs have, and, day in, day out, we moved to bigger, better space, building built in 1906. And so, yeah, I'm not sure exactly how Michelin can continue to deny us for very much longer, to be honest. We serve 50 guests a night, not 120, which a lot of top restaurants do. And, the restaurant's never been about maximizing profit. It's always been about the cuisine. It's my wife and I own the restaurant and focus really closely on every little aspect of it. And so, yeah, I would love for that door to be, opened for other chefs to follow that path, and also for other ethnic cuisines. Just now you saw Treysen Studio in Dubai get 3 stars, and, other ethnic cuisines should be recognized and other restaurants should be recognized as well, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I will, for listeners, the idea of being able to keep your 2 stars for this long is obviously a lot of work as well,
Yeah, absolutely.
If you get them, it's not guaranteed that you get them again next year.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay, let me see here. Oh yeah, I know I wanted that follow up one. Yeah, again, on when you're talking about Mexican, you're saying it's one of the best in the world, but I would say that traditionally it has the most, some of the most ingredients that you'll find anywhere that are indigenous to the cuisine and to the area. And certainly there's other ingredients that have come in that have enhanced that, but it's also the number of antojitos. When I think about like fine dining at Noma, and where they don't have a lot of traditional, they're not doing Danish cuisine on the menu, and the ingredients are things that they're rescuing things that haven't been eaten in a long time and transforming them to make them edible. But in Mexican cuisine, you just have to go to the mercado and everything is there. And the inspirations of all the dishes in 32 regions plus Alta California are profound, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's such a massive history of the cuisine, and it's, one of the oldest cuisines in existence. And just like we were talking about masa and nixtamalization, one of the earliest, most amazing technical creations, this how to cook the corn so that it's safe for, your family to eat. And that was, adding ash into the water and cooking it and raising the pH. And how do these people figure that out, and then continuing with all of this. And so, yeah, it's one of the most special cuisines in the world, and people need to recognize that, I think.
Agreed. Chef Val,
Cantu, you can catch him at Californios in San Francisco and at Estela after September in
Austin.
Texas. Okay. And around the world at Baja Lab and other culinary events. And you need to go. It's the only 2 Michelin star Mexican restaurant in the world.
In North America.
In North America. All right. There you go. That's a lot. And he's doing something that no one else is doing, him and his wife. So go check them out. Chef Val, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Bill.
Thank you for tuning in to the Taqueando podcast this week. And be sure to tune in next week for another episode. And please leave us a rating or review wherever you listen to your podcasts.